Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the slight delay in beginning proceedings. A very warm welcome to Professor Shubhrata Mitra, our very recently appointed Director of ISAS, Mr. Jiva Pillai, and Dr. Sanjeev Dwara, Director of ARI. It is my pleasure to introduce the three panelists for today's session, which is on the fairly stunning victory of the Aam Aadmi Party in the recently held Delhi elections and its national ramifications. I won't introduce all the speakers in great detail because you have the bios in front of you. The order that we'll follow is we'll begin with Professor Sanjay Kumar, Director of the Center for Study of Developing Societies in Delhi. He will analyze the Delhi results in some detail based on his institute CSDS's post-poll surveys, which they do regularly, both for the national elections as well as the state elections. Prof. Kumar will be followed by Mr. Sudhindra Kulkarni, whom many of you are familiar with, having seen him on doing commentary on television. Mr. Kulkarni is chairman of ORG in Mumbai. And the final speaker will be Professor Badrinarayan, who is currently spending some time in the university as an ICCR professor, but his original home base is the G.B. Pant University in Allahabad. So the format we'll follow is each speaker will roughly speak for around 15-20 minutes, and then we'll have 5-minute closing remarks by Professor Mitra, and then the floor will be open for questions. So without further ado, Professor Kumar.
Let me begin by thanking the department, South Asian Studies, Institute of South Asian Studies, National University of Singapore, thinking about me to make a presentation of on Aam Aadmi Party's victory in Delhi's assembly election. A special thanks to Ronaje, whom I met a couple of years back, and we have been in touch with regard to the data which we have been collecting at CSCS. The election for Delhi, it's a little old, but the events which is taking place in Delhi after the victory of Aam Aadmi Party even keeps Aam Aadmi Party in news in the Delhi circle, the Indian media, and I'm happy to share some of the findings on the victory of Aam Aadmi Party. And as Ronaji already mentioned, the sociological support base of Aam Aadmi Party, what has been the support base of Aam Aadmi Party during its 2015 assembly elections, and trying to compare it with how do we see Aam Aadmi Party support base changing, or how it has gone up, gone down compared to, because there have been 3 elections in succession: 2013 Delhi assembly elections, and then we had 2014 the national elections, Lok Sabha elections, and then we had elections in 2015. So that's what I'm trying to do in the next 20-22 minutes. First, a recap of the results. What was the results of the Delhi Assembly elections 2015? There are 70 assembly constituencies in Delhi, and in 2015 elections, if we see, the 67 seats were won by the Aam Aadmi Party, and only 3 seats were won by BJP. And if we compare it with how things changed compared to 2013, in 2013 BJP Plus had 132 seats and Aam Aadmi Party has 28 seats. So clearly a big victory for Aam Aadmi Party, and Congress and BSP and other smaller players couldn't manage to open its account. So that was the electoral verdict of 2015 assembly elections in Delhi. Moving beyond the number of seats won by party, because in first past the post system, sometimes it might happen that you might end up with small number of seats, but still manage to get sizable number of votes. Just to make things clearer for you people to have a look, if we look at the vote estimates, what was the vote percentages? BJP had polled approximately 33% votes, Aam Aadmi Party polled 54% votes, Congress roughly about 10%, 9.7%, and BSP 1.3% vote. And if we look at how things changed compared to 2013, this was an election after which Aam Aadmi Party was in government for 49 days, after which the chief minister quit and the government fell. If we compare it with that, Aam Aadmi Party's vote share actually almost doubled. From 29% vote in 2013, they went up to 54%, 25% increase in their vote share. And if we look at the vote percentage polled by Aam Aadmi Party, 54%. This was a three-cornered contest. There were at least three serious players. It was not a three-cornered. I will show some data to substantiate my views on that. But even when three political parties were contesting, a party getting more than 50% vote is almost very a rare feature in Indian elections. There are only few elections when a party would get more than 50% votes, and that happens largely in the bipolar contest. Recently in, say, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, these are some of the states where largely it's the bipolar contest between BJP and Congress, and BJP gets more than 50% votes. But this is a very big victory if we look at the vote estimates and if we look at the number of seats won by Aam Aadmi Party. 55%, roughly about 55% votes for Aam Aadmi Party. There's a lot of talk about what suddenly happened between 2014 and 2015. Because in 2014 Lok Sabha elections, Aam Aadmi Party didn't do well, and this was an election which was swept by BJP in Delhi, not only in Delhi, all over the country, Delhi being part of that. And if we look at how things changed from 2015 and 2014, in 2014 Lok Sabha elections, BJP had 46% votes, and its vote went down to 33%. So actually BJP lost roughly about 12-13% vote compared to 2014 Lok Sabha elections. And Aam Aadmi Party, which had about 33% votes in the Lok Sabha elections, their vote went up to 54%, as indicated in my previous slide. The Congress vote share, which shrunk to 15% in 2014 Lok Sabha election, it further went down to 9%. So these are the changes from the Lok Sabha elections. BJP's vote share going by 14% and Aam Aadmi Party's vote share increased by 22%. Now, was this really a three-cornered contest? Why this kind of a result we saw in these elections? Though three political parties were contesting, mainly three political parties, while there were other political parties which were contesting the elections. But if we see the three political parties, BJP, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress, how was the contest, how did the contest take place? BJP won 3 seats and they were runner-up in 62 seats. So basically BJP was in contest in 65 seats and they were third in number 4 seats. Aam Aadmi Party actually won 67 seats and they were runner-up in 3 seats. Though 2 seats they lost marginally within a margin of 5,000-7,000 votes. And Congress was runner-up, it was number 2 only in 4 seats, and in 64 seats the Congress was in number 3 position. Just to substantiate the point that though 3 important political parties were contesting elections, but largely it was a bi-party contest between BJP and Aam Aadmi Party, because Congress was hardly in the race. It had less than 10% votes, and if we look at the number of seats where they were in contest, only 4 seats where they were runner-up. They couldn't manage to win even 1 seat. So Congress was almost out of the electoral race, not only in terms of seats, that clearly indicates that they couldn't manage to win any seats. But even in the nature of contest suggests that they were almost out of the contest. Now, trying to look at how big was the defeat for Congress and the BJP. Do we see this as a big defeat for BJP and Congress? And what I've tried to do is to put up the vote share of the last 6 assembly elections which has taken place in Delhi since Delhi became a state in 1993. And if you look at the vote share of Congress, 1993 is the first election which BJP wins and BJP forms the government. And that is an election where BJP had 43% vote. And Congress had 34% vote, 34.5% vote in that election. After that, in 1998, Congress comes to power and Congress remained in power in Delhi for 15 years. So Congress vote share is coming down slowly from roughly about 48% in 2 elections, 1998, 2003, and then it drops to 40%, drops to 25% in 2013 elections, and further drops to less than 10% vote. So that's the graph of the Congress, that Congress vote share is going down. and between the last couple of years, between 2013 and 2015, it actually, Congress lost large number of votes and it was reduced to a party of less than 10% votes. On the other hand, look at BJP. Do we see this defeat of BJP as a big defeat for BJP? Yes, in terms of numbers, yes, they managed to win only 3 seats. But look at the vote. BJP seems to be having a core support base in Delhi, and it is clear from the votes polled by BJP during last 5-6 assembly elections. The only election where BJP's vote share went up to 42% is 1993, and after that BJP has a sizable support base, in a sense, in the range of 32 to 34% votes, and that's the vote share BJP has always got, even though BJP has not been able to win any elections after 1993, the assembly elections, 98, 2003, 2008, 2013, 2015. In every election, BJP got roughly about 33, 34, 35% vote. So that's the core support of BJP. It is only in 2014 Lok Sabha elections, during this period, starting from 1998, that BJP vote share suddenly jumped to 45, 46%, and they managed to do so well in the Lok Sabha election. So that should be seen as an exception, the Lok Sabha election, not the 2015 assembly election as an exception because BJP performed badly. Even though BJP performed badly in terms of number of seats, but their vote share remains intact more or less. 1 or 2% loss is already there compared to the previous election, but that's the core support base of BJP. Now there is a lot of talk about how big is this victory of Aam Aadmi Party. Yes, it is big in terms of number of seats which BJP has won, in terms of votes polled by BJP, votes polled by Aam Aadmi Party. But how does this victory compare to other victories? Has there been other victories in India? If we look at other state assembly elections, and how does this victory compare to other elections, state assembly elections? This is a big victory, but this is not an exception. It's not that this has happened in India for the first time. There have been instances. Sikkim is a state where the Sikkim Democratic Front, twice it has won every single seat, 32 out of 32. In 2004, it won 31 out of 32 seats. Again in 1985, the same political party, Sikkim Sangram Parishad, it won 30 out of 32. So Sikkim is one state where we have witnessed such victories by a regional party. Initially it was called Sikkim Sangram Parishad. Now it is referred as Sikkim Democratic Front. So that's a state where we have witnessed similar kind of a result, not once, almost 4 times. Another example is of Jammu and Kashmir in 1962, where the J&K National Conference won 70 out of 75 seats. So these are various examples of big victories. Yes, Delhi election verdict is a big victory for Aam Aadmi Party, but it is not very unnatural. It has not happened for the first time in the electoral history of India. But yes, by all standards, this is a big victory, both in terms of number of seats, also in terms of the votes polled by the party, and even if we put it in terms of a national perspective, comparing it with other elections.
Your Delhi figures are a little long. 67. 30.
Oh, sorry, 67 out of 70. It's a typo. 67 seats out of 70. Now I'm trying to explain the support base. Where did the Aam Aadmi Party get votes, etc. And I'm using the findings from the post-poll survey data which CSDS conducted. We had a sample size of a little more than 2,064 people were interviewed. These were interviewed at 120 locations spread across 24 assembly constituencies. And just to give you an example of how does the sample look like, in our sample we had about 43% women, and if we compare with census, there are 46% women voters in Delhi. Similarly, we had 16% Dalit in our sample, which compared to Delhi's proportion of roughly about 16.8. Muslims were 12% in our sample. Roughly 12% Muslims are there in Delhi's voter list. Not voter list, we would say Delhi's population, because you don't get to know about what proportions of them are there in the voter list. But assumption is that they should be in more or less equal proportion as their share in the population. Sikh, we had 4.6% and they are 4% of Delhi's population. And based on the survey which we conducted among these set of people, I'm just trying to explain what happened in Delhi's elections, who voted for whom. I think the big factor in Delhi's election was the leadership factor. And clearly, it comes out very clearly from the findings of the survey. When we asked this survey, whom would you like to see as your chief minister, whom would you like to see as the chief minister of Delhi? Arvind Kejriwal, 55% people actually mentioned they want to see Arvind Kejriwal as the chief minister. And for Kiran Bedi, it was 28%, and this survey was done after Kiran Bedi was projected as the chief ministerial candidate. So there was no match in terms of popularity of the leader. And another question when we asked how, and we tried to analyze that what proportion of voters were actually influenced by the leadership factor. There was a sizable number of voters who actually mentioned that they voted for Aam Aadmi Party because of Arvind Kejriwal. So leadership was one factor which actually pulled votes for Aam Aadmi Party, while on the other hand we know that BJP did project Kiran Bedi as the leader, but she was unable to pull votes for the BJP. So leadership became a big factor in Aam Aadmi Party's victory in Delhi. How people of Delhi voted. If party registered such a massive victory, a party gets more than 55% votes, party wins all except 3 seats, then it is bound to happen that voters of all the sections would have voted for Aam Aadmi Party, for the winner party, and in this case it is Aam Aadmi Party. But still there is a pattern which I wanted to share with you. What's the pattern? Though voters of all caste, community, group, everything would have voted in big numbers for Aam Aadmi Party, but still we see some patterns. And what's the pattern? First we look at, there was a lot of talk about the young voters, first time voters, and look at the pattern. If we look at, and these are now survey based analysis, if we look at the voters in the age group of 18 to 22, Aam Aadmi Party, among them 63% actually voted for Aam Aadmi Party, 26% for BJP. So clearly Aam Aadmi Party was more popular among the young voters compared to the elderly. As you go up on the age hierarchy, if you go down the table, as the age bracket of the voters increases, the support for Aam Aadmi Party goes down. From 63% it goes down to 45%, which is less than the average vote polled by the Aam Aadmi Party. Remember, average vote polled by Aam Aadmi Party is 54%, and among the elderly 56 years and above, the vote share of among them Aam Aadmi Party got 45% vote. So there was a clear, in every age bracket Aam Aadmi Party got more votes compared to BJP and Congress, in every age bracket. But among the younger voters, 18 to 22, and also among 23 and 25, this is the age bracket where Aam Aadmi Party got proportionately much higher vote share compared to the elderly voters. There was a huge class divide if we look at the support base of Aam Aadmi Party. Again, Aam Aadmi Party got votes among all the classes of voters, and this is based on various questions which we didn't ask this perception question in the survey whether you belong to a middle class or a poor class. But this class index has been developed based on several questions which we asked about the assets, income, house type, occupation. 4 or 5 questions have been merged to develop a class index. And based on that, we clearly see a class divide, a very strong class divide among BJP voters as well as Aam Aadmi Party voters. And among the poor voters who would fall in the category of poor, 66% voted for Aam Aadmi Party while 22% voted for BJP. And as we go up on the economic ladder, or I would say go down the table, the support for BJP increases and support for Aam Aadmi Party goes down. And if you look at the last row, the bottom row, among those who would fall in the category of rich, upper middle class, whatever nomenclature we want to give, say upper class, among them, still among them Aam Aadmi Party got more votes, but look at how competitive was the vote of the rich people. Among them 47% voted for Aam Aadmi Party and 43% voted for BJP, which is almost double the kind of votes BJP got among the poor. Among the poor, only 22% voted for BJP, and among the rich, 43% voted for the BJP. So there was a very strong class divide among the voters of Delhi. Poorer you are, more they were likely to vote for Aam Aadmi Party, which is clearly reflected in these data. Trying to look at the same thing from a different angle, because there was a lot of talk about Jhuggi Jhopri, people living in the lower income class colonies. They voted for Aam Aadmi Party in a big way. And it comes out very, very clearly from, again, the survey data. In the posh colonies, the colonies inhabited by the rich people, among them 45% voters voted for Aam Aadmi Party and BJP 41%. And as you look at the slums and the Jhuggi Jhopris, the lowest, the row at the bottom, among slums and Jhuggis, 66% voted for Aam Aadmi Party and 20% voted for BJP. So this reinforces the class character of the voters, class support of the voters, that Aam Aadmi Party got more votes among the slums and Jhuggis, while BJP got more votes among the rich people. If we look at the caste patterns, how did the Punjabi voters voted? There are about 16 assembly constituencies, and the map indicates these are the constituencies where we have sizable number of Punjabi voters. Even among them, Aam Aadmi Party got large number of votes, 51% of them voted for Aam Aadmi Party, and BJP 36%. The same pattern goes on. This is the constituencies which are dominated by, not dominated, sizable number of Jat voters in these constituencies which are on the outskirts. But this is the only community where Aam Aadmi Party couldn't take a lead over BJP. This is the only community of voters where BJP got more votes among the Jats compared to the Aam Aadmi Party. Maybe because Aam Aadmi Party did not have a Jat face, while BJP had lots of Jat faces in the party. If we look at the Punjabi, the migrants, the Purvanchali vote, there's a lot of talk about Purvanchali vote in Delhi these days. Every political party, when they try and distribute tickets, they keep this in mind, which are the constituencies dominated by the Purvanchali. And this is the map which indicates that these are the constituencies where sizable number of Purvanchali voters are there. And we clearly see, even among those, Aam Aadmi Party had a huge lead over BJP. The Dalit vote clearly going in a big way in favor of Aam Aadmi Party, and there is a huge shift between 2015 and 2014 and 15 in favor of Aam Aadmi Party. In 2014 Lok Sabha elections, and BJP's vote share among Dalits going down. Muslims, this made a big difference for Aam Aadmi Party. In the last elections, the Muslim vote was badly divided between Congress and Aam Aadmi Party, and basically Congress got 39% votes among Muslims. In the last assembly elections, 53% Muslims voted for Congress, which went down to 20% this time. And in the 2013 assembly elections, only 13%, 12% Muslims had voted for Aam Aadmi Party, because that was an election where it was not clear whether the contest is going to be between Congress and BJP or Aam Aadmi Party, where Aam Aadmi Party is going to stand. So a big swing in favor of Aam Aadmi Party among the Muslim votes. Almost 77% Muslims voted for Aam Aadmi Party in this election. And the last thing I would say, there was a lot of talk about how do people assess the 49 days of Kejriwal's government. I know when the government quit, that was the time where there was a lot of anger against the government. But as the day came closer to the polling day, when the elections progressed, and by the time I think this anger was subsided, and people actually started appreciating the 49 days of government of Kejriwal. And this comes out very clearly from the survey. Whether you are satisfied or dissatisfied with the work of the Aam Aadmi Party government, 49 days, 72% said they are satisfied, and only 24% said they were dissatisfied. Some of them were not able to express any opinion. But final message, what does this mean? Does this mean that BJP has lost its popularity in Delhi? No, clearly if we compare it with 2013, the data which I showed in earlier, they still are sitting with 33% vote. That's another evidence. The other evidence is from the survey. We actually asked this question, are you satisfied with Modi as the Prime Minister? The same voters who have not voted for BJP in a big way in this election. But 66% said yes, they are satisfied with Modi as the Prime Minister. Are you satisfied with BJP-led central government? Great amount of satisfaction. 62% saying they are satisfied with BJP-led central government. But I would say everything is not very good for BJP, because one slogan which was going on very strongly during the Lok Sabha elections, "Achhe din aane wale hain," good days are about to come, and we started tracking this in elections after election, survey after election, to figure out, do people still believe "Achhe din aane wale hain," and 50% actually people say they said Narendra Modi has actually failed to bring Achhe Din. And if you look at the class divide, poor are more disenchanted with this slogan that Achhe Din aane wale. So people have started raising questions. There are question marks by the people, but not to the extent that BJP has become. This Delhi election should not be read as BJP's absolutely declining popularity or Modi's popularity seeing a nosedive. That should not be the message as far as my analysis, the data which we have collected at CSDS indicate. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Kumar, for a threadbare analysis of the Delhi result. Our next speaker is Mr. Kulkarni, and he will really take up on the note that Professor Kumar ended on, whether this was a referendum on Modi and the BJP government, and discuss the ramifications of this, national ramifications of this result.
Good afternoon, friends. Very pleased to be participating in this seminar, and thanks Dr. Sen for inviting me. It's heartening to see that Singapore has so much interest in Indian politics. It's quite natural with so many Indians in the audience. Since this seminar is taking place in Singapore, I would like to begin by paying my homage to Lee Kuan Yew, the founder of Singapore, first Prime Minister, and also the principal architect. He was truly a global leader, even though his official writ ran only in the city-state. The influence that he had was much, much wider and to some extent enduring. Lee Kuan Yew made Singapore an early exemplar of what Asia is capable of. Under his leadership, Singapore, in its own unique way, became a pioneer of Asia's rise. Of course, on a wider canvas, Asia's rise requires India's rise to happen, just as it requires China's rise and the rise of all other countries, because small, in this continent. So, friends, one of my entry points for this discussion on the rise of Aam Aadmi Party in Indian politics is to locate this phenomenon in the larger context of what it means for India's rise in Asia and the world. In other words, the Aam Aadmi Party phenomenon has both a significant domestic impact, but also a certain degree of impact on India's emergence or failure to emerge to its full potential on the regional and global stage. I'm not going to unnecessarily or disproportionately link the Aam Aadmi Party's rise to India's rise. Rather, I would like to place the phenomenon of Aam Aadmi Party's rise in Delhi and BJP's rise in New Delhi. Aam Aadmi Party's rise in Delhi and BJP's rise in New Delhi, and show how the tension between these two phenomena has a salient impact on India's rise. My initial observation is that India's multi-party democracy is both promoting and also impeding India's progress. And this is a simultaneous process. Democracy is both an enabler, and the kind of multi-party system that we have is also impeding India's progress to its full potential. We Indians are proud of our democratic system. It's certainly a guarantor of India's unity, stability, and development. At the same time, we are and we should be acutely aware of the shortcomings of our democracy and the realities in which these shortcomings manifest themselves. One of these realities is that India's democracy, which may seem quite chaotic to observers in a very well-ordered place like Singapore, one of the realities is that our democracy is required to simultaneously address multiple challenges and problems. It has to simultaneously meet the aspirations of a very diverse society. Just to give the example of Delhi itself, on the one hand, the government in Delhi, Kejriwal's government, has to respond to the aspirations of the Jhuggi-Jhopdi people who want their Jhuggi-Jhopdis to be regularized, and also the aspirations of Delhi. I'm talking about New Delhi, the old Delhi, which wants to be like New Delhi. So there are different kinds of aspirations, sometimes conflicting, which any government has to address. Our democracy succeeds to some extent and also fails to a larger extent in meeting these multiple challenges and problems. In this contradictory process, we should locate the successes and failures of various political parties and their leaders. The ups and downs of our political parties are well known to this audience. The Congress is down today, but it is not at all certain that it will always remain so. I, for one, am quite optimistic that the Congress will bounce back, and in my opinion, Congress should bounce back. Similarly, the BJP is up today, but it is not at all certain that it will remain up for the next 20 years, as some of its leaders are foolishly claiming. And the failures of some of the players, especially big players, gives an opportunity for new political formations to emerge. And the Aam Aadmi Party is one such new formation. The phenomenal rise of the Aam Aadmi Party is principally due to the failures of the Congress and BJP to address 4 critical problems of Indian democracy. And each of these problems has a bearing on India's development to its full potential, hence on India's rise. The first factor is corruption and the lack of accountability in politics and in the system of governance. Corruption, friends, is a big hurdle in India's economic growth. It also impairs inclusive development, which is a crucial necessity for India's rise. However, the effect of corruption on the moral fabric of Indian society is far more serious, which often doesn't get discussed. All of us know that the Aam Aadmi Party was born in the womb of the anti-corruption movement launched by Anna Hazare, and the almost unprecedented response that it received is an indicator that corruption is not a dead issue. It is certainly going to resurface in some way or the other in the future if Narendra Modi's government fails to tackle it in a systemic manner. The second factor is inclusive development. I was closely listening to Sanjay Kumar's presentation, where he clearly brought out how the BJP is seen as a pro-rich party. The Congress somehow responds to this reality in a better way than the BJP, although it lost the election recently, and hence it tried to popularize the slogan of inclusive development, which the Aam Aadmi Party, as the name itself suggests, it capitalized on that. We are the real party for the Aam Aadmi and not the Congress. The third factor where the BJP and the Congress have both failed, and which became one of the planks of the Aam Aadmi Party, was the inadequate scope of people's participation in democracy and governance. In India, as all of us know, people's participation is largely limited to voting once in 5 years. I would like to mention here, friends, that the 2004-14 manifesto of the BJP has a very interesting promise. They said that they pledged to transform India's democracy from being a representative democracy to a participative democracy. This was really Aam Aadmi Party's main slogan. Apart from the campaign against corruption, what the Aam Aadmi Party was emphasizing on was making democracy participative. But Narendra Modi's government in the past 1 year has taken no steps whatsoever in making our democracy participative. The fourth factor where both the BJP and the Congress have failed is the internal democracy in the party. We are a democratic system, but the internal democracy in most political parties is very weak. And this is another point which Kejriwal's movement was tapping. As all of us know, friends, a major achievement of the Aam Aadmi Party was that it created an altogether new set of political functionaries and activists. It did not take people from other parties to grow. It created, out of the movement, it created new activists. That is its major contribution to our democracy. This new set of political activists and supporters were able to appeal to a fairly large section of politically conscious people, both in Delhi and outside Delhi, because Aam Aadmi Party was promising to be a party with a difference. The original party with a difference was the BJP, but now the Aam Aadmi Party pitched itself as a party with a difference on all these four parameters. That is, a corruption-free and transparent governance, a party that responds to the needs of the Aam Aadmi common people, people's participation in democracy and governance, and internal democracy. Now that the Aam Aadmi Party is in power in Delhi, after having won a victory that almost it seemed like a tsunami, how different is the Aam Aadmi Party? Friends, in less than 3 months of coming to power, the Aam Aadmi Party is finding it difficult really to prove that it's a different kind of party. Of course, it's too early to make any definitive assessment on the performance of Kejriwal's government in Delhi, how it will tackle corruption that is endemic in the system is yet to be seen, how it will expand the footprint of people's participation in governance is also yet to be seen. However, on one point, that's the point of internal democracy, cohesion and transparency, the Aam Aadmi Party has already suffered a big blow on account of the turmoil that is happening in the party, the recent expulsion of 2 of its top leaders, Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan, from all but the primary membership of the party. And even that might happen today or tomorrow. Thus, the Aam Aadmi Party has suffered the first split within 2 months of forming a government in Delhi. It has already considerably damaged the image of the party as a party with a difference. It has damaged, the party may still continue to be in power. There is no threat to the stability of Kejriwal's government in Delhi. But the Aam Aadmi Party phenomenon has certainly taken a big hit. And therefore the expectation that it could somehow become a national alternative to the Congress and the BJP, I think that no serious political analyst or political observer today really gives the Aam Aadmi Party that advantage or the benefit. Friends, in many countries and also in many political organizations, power has a tendency to get concentrated in the hands of one leader. Whether that leader uses that power wisely determines what happens to that party. And I'm saying this because this is happening both in the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. This is a commonality between Narendra Modi and Kejriwal. Both are very strong leaders, but whether they use that power wisely will determine what will happen to the BJP, what will happen to the Aam Aadmi Party. One of the concepts that the Aam Aadmi Party popularized during its movement era was Swaraj. And even Yogendra Yadav, has started using that term. Their recent convention was Swaraj Samvad, that is dialogue, Swaraj dialogue. What does Swaraj mean? All of us know that Swaraj means freedom. But in the Gandhian concept, friends, it meant much, much more than that. Interestingly, the way Gandhi used Swaraj was both freedom and its seeming opposite, that is self-restraint, self-control. That is not just Swaraj as self-rule, but rule over self. And therefore, how the Aam Aadmi Party progresses, how the BJP progresses in the coming years, depends much on whether, and we know that even Narendra Modi has been using Gandhiji quite frequently. So if they are true to Gandhiji's concept of Swaraj, then they should use the power that people have vested in them wisely. As far as the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, on present reckoning, it is, this is what Dr. Sen asked me to do, how it affects, if at all it affects the BJP's prospects. I don't think that it is a contender in national politics as of now, and it's no threat whatsoever to the BJP. It's not going to make much of a mark in the state elections that are coming up in the next 2-3 years. However, I do not rule out the Aam Aadmi Party or Arvind Kejriwal playing a bigger role in national politics in the coming years. Much depends on one crucial factor, and that is the performance of the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi and the performance of Kejriwal as Chief Minister. If Kejriwal performance, if he performs remarkably well and is able to win a renewed mandate after 5 years, that is when he will be seen as truly a national leader. After all, we should remember that what got Narendra Modi where he is today, the fact that he won Gujarat 3 times successively. So even though in terms of visibility, Kejriwal is always seen along with Modi, Rahul Gandhi, it all will depend on whether he wins Delhi once again. If he does, then of course he will be on the national scene as a major player. And he also has to, like Modi, he has to show that he has a distinctive Delhi model of government or a Kejriwal model of governance. The way Modi did, or at least Modi projected. Friends, therefore I wish to state that if we want to see the future trends in Indian politics, we have to look at 4 directions. Most important is the performance of the Narendra Modi government. Whether or not the Congress revives itself, this is the second direction that we should see, and I don't rule out this possibility at all, although there is a lot of pessimism about the Congress and especially Rahul Gandhi. The third new possibility that is emerging is the reunification of the fragmented units of the Janata Parivar, and some movements already taking place in the context of the Bihar elections. And a fourth possibility is the emergence, a grand alliance of all the anti-BJP forces, including the Congress and including the Aam Aadmi Party. That also is quite likely to happen in the coming months. Friends, there is, looking at Narendra Modi's performance so far and how it is likely to pan out in the coming 4 years. I agree with Dr. Sanjay Kumar that people still have very high expectations, although they don't believe that achhe din aane wale hain. But they have not given up hope on Narendra Modi. His plank of development, his promise of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas has had an impact, and by and large, he's seen to be something different. But one major challenge to Narendra Modi, or rather two big challenges. One is, as he pointed out, the perception that his government is more for the rich than for the poor. If this perception continues, the government is going to be in big trouble and very unlikely to win a second term. This is what happened to the NDA government, NDA 1, which got into the trap of shining India. Poor voted NDA and even a tall leader like Vajpayee out of power. The second big challenge to Narendra Modi is that even though the promise is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, this government is seen to be more pro-Hindu and not equally caring for non-Hindus. This polarizing politics will ultimately hurt this government because India is a multi-faith society. We are a secular nation. The BJP's approach to secularism is very problematic, and if the perception grows that this is a polarizing government, then it won't take much time for a certain resentment to build up. And I would even say that there is a possibility of a tension growing between the BJP, the Modi and the RSS. Somehow the Prime Minister has been managing this to some extent, but if this grows, it is going to be threatening to the stability of the Modi government. These are the directions in which the Indian politics is moving, and I don't see that Aam Aadmi Party figures at the very core of these developments. I think that if we want to see India rise to its full potential, we need a new edition of a political movement that captures the imagination of the people. Something where, in my opinion, Kejriwal has failed. The BJP has raised certain hopes, but we have to wait and see. So we are in this at present we are in this process of in this phase of uncertainty. Let's wait and watch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kulkarni, for really dwelling on the larger picture with regard to the rise of the AP. Professor Badrinarayan will really take the story forward on the national implications of the Aam Aadmi Party, particularly in the Hindi heartland and also especially with regard to the Dalits.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. I'm really very thankful to Institute of South Asian Studies for providing this space to me to discuss about the Aam Aadmi Party, its future as an All India party, and especially Hindi heartland and the Dalits. In fact, if you see what is Aam Aadmi Party and who are the leaders, the class character of the leaders, and the supporters who support it. So you must be knowing that few social activists gathered together and they started a new politics. With Anna Hazare, issues were different. And who are these leaders? They were translating a state language for the poor people. So they are the intermediary civil society movements. How to make cards, how to make rate cards, how to RTI. They are the people who understand the state language, and they were translating a state language for the poor people. So poor people, they had created direct interactions with the poor people. And you must have been seen in this data who supported to Aam Aadmi Party. Mostly poor, a bigger section of poor people. And who are these poor people? Those who are coming from different parts of India's land as migrants. They are the migrants, laborers, those who settled in the slums. And about this people, Ambedkar has suggested that these Dalits should come out from the villages and they should settle in the cities. And then they can be emancipated by the humiliations and by the oppressions. But when they came to the city, they settled there. There is difference between Ambedkar and Kanchiram. Kanchiram used to tell that whenever they will go to the cities, they will go with the same tale and they will suffer in the same way. So these are those kind of sufferers of migrants poor. They became base vote for the Aam Aadmi Party politics. And why? Because that's why I say Aam Aadmi Party is the party of contradictions. Because on the one hand, they have did wonderful things in Indian politics. But on the other hand, they did fatal things in Indian politics. What they did, they created direct interaction with these poor people and deleted the intermediary, the traditional kinds of headmans, intermediaries, local leaders of those slums areas, those who were taking the contract of selling votes and buying votes. So they created direct interaction with these people. And the youth who are afraid with this expansive market growth, this marketism, those who are part of the market but every day suffers with the market in the insecurity which market produce. No, and they became another layer of the leadership and the activists of the Aam Aadmi Party. So it's also product of global this market impact. Market produce a kind of insecurity, and the many leaders, activists of the Aam Aadmi Party are from them. Aam Aadmi Party also does a politics of consumerist community, the community who are consumer in the cities, and they have a different kind of language, and they need different kind of the kind of language in politics. Need-based language, Bijli, the water, and this and that, and they started talking in that language. So these are the strength of the Aam Aadmi Party. But what they did when they came in the power, they created a spy state and a sting party. The party is a spy state and a sting party. And sting, there is the wonderful thing which they have done. They have given the power of the sting and a spy, surveillance rather, which I can be talk from a state to the public. It was a power of the state. Surveillance was the power of the state. The state do surveillance for the subject of the people. But here they gave that power to the public. You do surveillance. But this created a different kind of political culture. And who knows the art of surveillance? Even I don't know to use my mobile in any sense. So who knows the art? Only the middle class, clever, smart people among the Delhiite community, not this poor who became the voter of in a big way of the Aam Aadmi Party. But it also created a party, a culture in the party where everyone is trying to stab everyone. And everyone is afraid with everyone. Anyone can sting me. Anyone can. Yogendra Yadav told that now that the days gone when we used to talk freely in the party and laugh and do the party was a kind of a space where we used to freely discuss the things. And the same day, Arvind Kejriwal told on the television, when I was on the airport and and I thought I had received SMS from Prashant Bhushan that I want to talk to you, and I want to talk to him, but I had a feeling in the mind that he will disclose this thing to the television media and I will be exposed. So everyone is afraid that that person will expose me. So there's a different, like was you too, Brutus. No, it's a kind of Shakespearean, the kind of tragedy comedy that everyone is worried with everyone. So that kind of politics, transparency, the whole big ideas which they brought in Indian politics, and that gave them a bigger space for, and that gave them the bigger, very important victory. But what happened with those things, you can see as in the form of party, in the form of party culture, political culture, in the forms of delivery also you can see, because consumerism is a different kind, is a very interesting culture. Every day aspirations rise. If you satisfied one aspirations, the other aspirations will rise. And no state, no government can satisfy this aspirational ghost which is developing within us. And so no government will satisfy this kind of the ghosts which are emerging within the urban space. And so let's see what happens. Even he will win second time, even he will win third time. You can't say he will emerge as a national leader. Like Sheila Dikshit won 3 times Delhi. Digvijay Singh won 3 times Madhya Pradesh. What happened with them? So it's not the case, I think. But the important thing which they have done, after that I'll come on the last part of my presentation. Important thing the Aap victory did in Indian politics and society, it shifted the perception about this charismatic image of Modi. People started talking in the non-Delhi areas also, in Hindi areas also, that Modi, this victory showed that Modi is not the victorious every time, no. So perception shift happened from here, and that will grow. And I am very much agree with Kulkarni Saab, Sudhindra ji, that BJP is losing every day. AAP is losing every day. Whether Yogendra Yadav succeed or not as a mass politician, but they have raised a big question mark on the AAP politics, and every day they will cut some piece from the AAP image. And AAP is going day by day losing day by day. But who is gaining? Congress is gaining. Only Congress is gaining, but Congress is not able to capitalize that gain which they are getting. The image perceptions of them are very. They are not in a position to gain because it's still confusion, lot of confusion. But as you know, Indian politics, the way Indian politics happens, they produce their own issues and they bring the party for that. They develop their own party. They develop their own, like Aam Aadmi party is not the creation of 1 or 2 persons. It's the creation of the entire this migrant mass. And the leaders are the product of that migrant mass. So it will happen, we don't know. Now we should talk about what happened when our politics will try to capture Hindi heartland. When they will try to influence Hindi heartland, what will happen? The major problem which will happen, because our politics has not language which can address rural issues of cosmopolitan, issues of the Mufassil, issues of the local towns and the rural India, which is larger part of our India. They don't have language, they don't have leaders, because Arvind Kejriwal G is a Delhi language now, and you can't do politics with this G in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar. You need a different kind of language. So rural. The lack of rural language to address rural issues. The lack of this rural the language who can satisfy rural sentiment and the sentiment of the qasbas and towns. One can say that now cohesive India is developing. This cosmopolitan kind of consumer India is also expanding to the rural area. That's happening. But India, in rural areas, still they have their own concern, like for Dalits. Sanjay Kumar Jeta showed that Dalits supported AAP party in Delhi. But is it happen? It will happen in other part of India? I think no, because for them, their issues are different. They need a good life, they need roti, but they also need respect. And the whole our politics lack this issue of respect, because their politics is counter respect, counter identity politics, and that is based on the kind of everyday the supply of everyday needs, politics of supply of everyday need. So what will happen when they will contest with Mayawati to take her base? For that you need a different kind of language, and you have to contest in Bihar the language of social justice. And language of social justice had its problem, but also its strong mobilization power. And so I don't see I fully agree with Sudhindraji that AAP is not going to be a kind of alternative for as a national politics. It had potential, but the Yogendra Jadhav and Prashant Bhushan thing created a lot of loss in the image making of the Aam Aadmi Party, because the politics is, after all, perception. The politics of perception. The politics is not is the influencing real, but I think also more than real, it's perception. Kind of thing. It's more than real, it's issue of myths, images involved in that. So they are like moon every day, erodes and get cuts in some pieces. Similar happening with AAP every day. It's going to lose. So so one is how to influence Dalits beyond Delhi boundary. Second is how you are going to address the caste. Caste is itself a very strong reality in rural society. You don't have, they don't have important Dalit leaders. Only Rakhi Birlan and once Himmat Singh, who came from the BJP. And they don't have the kind of any beyond Delhi image. So there's Muslims. There is a second hope in the Muslim. And people in Delhi, they succeeded to take Congress Muslim base to their favor. But is it going to happen in India region or other parts of India? I don't see future of in this respect. If Muslim will support all over the country, then the story would be changed. But it's not going to happen, because Muslim always votes very strategically, strategic voting. Wherever they see that the party is going to defeat BJP, they will vote to that party. Either Janata Party, Nitish Kumar in Bihar, or Lalu Yadav in Bihar, in Uttar Pradesh Mayawati, in Bengal Mamta, or maybe some other may come. So how AAP is going to impress and influence this community? And you must have seen in Arvind Kejriwal politics, the image politics, it's also very soft Hindutva kind of image politics. Like when he visited to Varanasi, to contest against Modi, he went to Ganga, took bath, did Shankarji Puja and everything. And that time I wrote piece in the Express, and that I argued in that you can't fight with the same weapon in the ground of your enemy with his rules and by his the kind of weapons. The same weapon which you are using, and you can't cut him to that weapon and the rule made by them. So this soft Hindutva image may also create hindrance in mobilization of Muslims in other parts of India. So I don't see, because they lack the kind of the internal political resources within the party which can make them all India party, like leaders, language, the kind of mobilizational issues. And second is the whole character of the party is very cosmopolitan. So how to go beyond that and how to influence that kind of, and Dalits is a very heterogeneous community. And if you have impressed Bhangis and few castes in the cosmopolitan cities, you can't say that in other part of India you are going to mobilize the whole Dalit community. So that's why the future is always shaped based on the continuous interaction between the past, present, and future. The past of the Aam Aadmi Party and the present of Aam Aadmi Party you are seeing, and that shows that the future is not so easy, and it's very challenging for them. Here I am going to stop. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Badrinath, for discussing the problems with the AAP movement and the language that it employs. May I now ask Professor Subrata Mitra to make very brief closing remarks?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, in my previous avatar, I've been a professor for 20 years. In Heidelberg, I'm used to talking to large audiences without a microphone, but now that one has come, I'll start with an apology to the distinguished members of the audience. We have had 3 provocative lectures. We are under time pressure. This is Singapore, and you would be all raring to go at them. So what right have I got to interpose myself between them and you? Only 2 reasons. The first is entirely selfish and personal. Unlike my dear friends from India who are here as visitors, I am not a visitor. I've got the internationally precious EP, the employment pass for Singapore, and I have come to stay. Now, in order to stay, I will need friends, not just old friends like Professor Dwara, old colleague and friend from my daily days.
What do you mean by old?
All right, young at heart, at my age. I need to get to know exactly the kind of people who are present in this audience if I'm going to be effective as the director of the ISAS. So the second reason to ask for 5 minutes, and thank you very much, Ramanuja. I've known him when he was a doctoral candidate in Chicago and was attending our summer school in Heidelberg. So that's the excuse to steal these minutes. In my new capacity as the director of ISAS, I would ask the global question. What is the story of AAP, the story of, and what has that story got to do with NUS and ISAS? If we don't tackle that one, everything else would be news from yesterday. And that story brings me to the next question. I've switched from a university to a think tank. So what does a think tank do? Well, it thinks. That's not good enough. A think tank is a bridge between high theory and concrete policies. A think tank job is to be able to provide advice to clients if they ask, how do I go there because I'm here? If you tell me where is your here and where is your there, I should be able to do some thinking for you because you have either not the expertise or the time. So, what is that global question? The global question, ladies and gentlemen, for ISAS, which connects Afghanistan all the way to Maldives and the vast space in between, with one large question, which is, how are these societies going to go from agrarian to industrial society, from poverty to plenty, from subjected to citizenship? How are they going to become nations? That's the large question. If you ask the large question, you'll get a large answer. That transition, whether you follow, there are 3 sort of global roads of that transition: capitalism, socialism, fascism. Historically, whichever road one has taken has involved the crushing of the poor and the marginal in the interest of progress. We all talk about Western liberal democracies. When they were more or less where India is now, and the Industrial Revolution was pulverizing the poor, 18-hour days, your hand got chopped off, don't ask for compensation, move over, the next person will take your job. 18-hour days for men, women, children. That's England of Charles Dickens. those were not the days of the CNN or lily-white liberals. That's where these societies are. Which is why Barrington Moore, who was very big for my generation, says, the poorest pay the price of progress, regardless of which path you take. And if you ask them to choose, it is like asking turkeys to choose for Christmas or to vote for Christmas. And that is exactly what I see in the excellent analysis of Sanjay, much valued colleague from my time at the CSTS. If you see those cross tabulations, you will see the story. अच्छे दिन आएंगे, कैसे आएंगे? Who will pay for that? Smart cities. Who will pay for smart cities? Not in terms of German collaboration. A city to be smart will have to regularize its habitats, and unauthorized judiciaries have to go. It's like asking the poor to move out of their comfort zones. Now, that is the deeper story that we are being told. And each of these papers is a window to that world out there. What do we learn? What would Singapore learn in terms of engaging South Asia? If you generalize from up to the larger story. Where should we invest? Should we invest at all? Why not go to China? How can we connect with them in terms of their foreign policies? Those are the deeper questions that I intend to tackle in my 3 years of employment pass as the text director. So I'm here, and I hope to see you at the other corner of the campus when we organize those there. Thank you very much for giving me the time.